Am I the asshole for publicly revealing I had $10.5 million at my parents' anniversary party after my family spent 24 hours proving exactly who they were when they thought I had nothing?
Welcome to Popcorn Review This Story. Today's story is about a woman who pretended to lose her farm just to see how her family would react, only to uncover years of manipulation, greed, and betrayal the moment they thought the money was gone. And trust me, the dinner party changed everything. Let's get to Donna.
My husband told me they would show me who they were. I believed him, but I didn't want to. I kept thinking about all the ways I might be wrong about my own family. I kept thinking maybe they were just stressed. Maybe things would be different. Maybe I was the problem, so then my mom sent a text to the family group chat, the one I wasn't in, telling everyone not to lend me so much as $1. That was 24 hours after. I told them I was broke. Let me start from the beginning. That my husband and I have been farming for 11 years. We built something real. A working farm that took everything we had for the first several years and then started to come back. Last spring, a development corporation approached us about buying the land. They were building a distribution corridor, and our acreage was exactly what they needed. The offer was $10.5 million. Before we responded, my husband suggested something. He said he wanted to tell my family we had lost the farm, that the business had failed, that we were essentially starting over. He said he wanted to see what they did with that information. I said that was a hard thing to do. He said he thought it was necessary. He said he had been watching my family take from me for years, and he wanted to know, before we had life-changing money, whether any of them would show up for us if we had nothing. I agreed. I called my mom on a Tuesday and told her the farm was gone, that we had lost it, that we were going to have to figure out what came next. She made sympathetic sounds on the phone. She said she was sorry. She said she would talk to my dad. Within 6 hours, my sister showed up at my door. She did not ask how I was doing. She asked whether my husband and I had any equity in the house and whether we had thought about what we were going to do with it. She said she and her husband had been looking at a property in Maple Ridge. A nice area, she kept saying. Really nice, and that if we sold the house and split things properly with the family, it could help a lot of people. I said I'd have to think about it. After she left, I sat in my kitchen for a while. My dad called that evening. He didn't ask about the farm. He said my mom was upset and that I had a way of making things hard for everyone and that I needed to think about how my situation affected the people who loved me. That was the first 24 hours. What I found out later, at the anniversary party, in front of everyone, was that within that same 24 hours my mom had sent a message to a family group chat I had been removed from. She told everyone not to loan me money under any circumstances. She said I had always had trouble managing resources and that they shouldn't enable me. I also found out that my parents had known about the development corporation's interest in our land for 6 months. One of their neighbors had mentioned it. They had known we were about to receive a significant offer, and they had said nothing, while continuing to receive the regular financial support we had been providing. I didn't know any of this yet when my sister called 2 days before the anniversary party, suddenly warm and friendly, and said she really wanted me there. She said it would mean a lot to the family. She told me please not to bring up the financial situation. Said it wasn't the time. I said I'd be there. The anniversary party was at a restaurant. 40 guests. My parents' 40th year of marriage, which I had helped pay for in various ways over the years without keeping track. My sister stood up to make a toast. She talked about family, about the future, about exciting things coming. She announced that she and her husband were buying a new home. She said it as though she were doing everyone a favor. Then she said that given everything going on with my husband and me, she and her husband were generously offering to let us rent their current home at a family rate so we wouldn't end up without a place. There was applause. Then her husband, Todd, came to our table and placed a folder in front of me. He'd explained that the mortgage on the Maple Ridge property required a signature, and that using my parents' house as collateral was the plan, and that my signature as part of the family agreement was needed to proceed. He handed me a pen. I put the pen down. I said I wouldn't be signing. That my sister's face changed. Several people at nearby tables went quiet. My mom said something about family loyalty. My dad looked at the table. My sister said I was being selfish, and that after everything the family had done for me, this was the least I could do. I stood up. I said I had something to tell. Everyone says, am I the asshole for what I'm about to do? I know the answer. I just need to type it out somewhere before I say it out loud or it's too long. Didn't read. Husband and I just sold our farm for $10.5 million. We told my family we were broke to see how they'd respond. Within 24 hours, my mom texted the family group banning anyone from lending me money. My sister showed up demanding I sell my house, and my dad called to tell me I was upsetting my mom. I just found out my parents also knew about the sale offer for 6 months and said nothing while we kept supporting them. I'm at the party now. My sister just tried to get me to sign collateral documents for her new house. I haven't signed. About to speak. Am I the asshole? Edit. Just got back to the car. We'll update. My hands are still shaking a little, but in a good way, I think. Edit 2. Update coming tomorrow. My husband is driving. I'm okay. We're both okay.
Honestly, this story already feels painful before the big confrontations even happens. The part that really gets me is how the family switched from sounding concerned to immediately trying to protect themselves financially. Like, not one person stopped to ask if she was okay emotionally after losing something she spent 11 years building. That alone says a lot. And the fact that the mom severely warned the whole family not to help her. Wow, you can already feel there's been years of manipulations on choir presence underneath of this. But I think the most interesting part is the husband. He saw this coming before he did. He saw this coming before she did. He already knows exactly how her family would react if the money disappeared. And honestly, that makes me think this probably isn't the first time they used her. And that's he standing in the restaurant full of people, about to expose everything publicly. Which, tell me, whatever they say next is going to completely destroy the image the family spent years being.
Update 1. 2 days later, here is what happened at the party. When I stood up, I said I'd been sitting with some information, and I thought this was the right moment to share it since we were all together. I said my husband and I had not lost the farm. I said we had sold it for $10.5 million. That the deal had closed 3 weeks ago, and we were in the process of figuring out what to do next. I said the reason I had told my family we were broke was because my husband had suggested it in IH. Ed agreed. I said I had wanted to understand who we were to each other before that number changed anything. I said I had my answer within 24 hours. I read my mom's text message out loud, the one about not lending me money. I had the screenshot on my phone, and I had the font large enough that people at the nearby tables could read along. I took out a printed email that my parents' neighbor had forwarded to me, the one that made clear my parents had been aware of the corporation's interest in our land for 6 months. I explained what that meant, that while we had been continuing to provide financial support to the family, my parents had known we were sitting on a significant windfall and had said nothing. Then Loretta stood up. Loretta is a woman in her 70s who has lived the doors down from my parents for 35 years. She's the kind of person whose word carries weight in a room full of people who have known her for decades. She said she had watched my family treat me as a resource for a long time, and that she was glad I was finally saying it out loud. She sat back down. The room was very quiet. I looked at my sister and I said I would not be signing anything. I said I would not be providing financial support to the family going forward. I said I wished my parents well in their marriage, and I meant that. Then my husband and I left it. My sister called 11 times in the 2 days that followed. My mom sent 14 texts. My dad sent 3, which was more than I had expected. I blocked all of them. I found out later, through a cousin who texted me separately, that the mortgage on the Maple Ridge property had fallen through without my signature. My sister and her husband lost a $40,000 deposit. Her husband also discovered that she had made a $25,000 cash withdrawal from their joint account at some point in the previous 2 months that she had not mentioned to him. He moved to the guest room. My niece, my sister's daughter, who is 12 and has nothing to do with any of this, was moved from her private school to the public school in their district because the tuition payments stopped. My mom stopped being invited to things at her church. Word had gotten around, the way it does in small towns when 40 people have dinner together. My dad walked 3 miles to our temporary rental about 2 weeks later. He knocked on the door, and when I opened it, he stood on the front step and said he owed me an apology. He said he had spent years making the easier choice every time, and that the easier choice was always to agree with my mom and let me absorb whatever was required. He said he didn't have a defense for it. I listened. I didn't invite him in. I said I needed time. He said he understood and walked home.
Okay, but this whole situation got messy unbelievably fast. Like the second the money disappeared, everyone's real personality came flying out, and then the moment the $10.5 million were reeled, the entire family dynamic basically collapsed in one dinner. The craziest part to me is that nobody even seemed shocked by the accusations. That silence in the dressing room say everything. And now there's damage everywhere. The sister marriage is totally taking the mom's reputations. It fell apart around town, and the dad's showing up along at their ranch show on the Lee Fieldway Pika that people realize. Because that's the first time anyone in this family actually admits she was carrying everyone for years. Something tells me Update 2 isn't going to be another traumatic public scene through. I think it's going to get more emotional, more personal, and roughly ways more uncomfortable.
Update 2, for now 6 months later. Here's where things are. My husband and I established an irrevocable trust for the farm proceeds. Our lawyer helped us structure it so that it is protected from any future legal claims. I had not previously understood what irrevocable meant in practical terms. I do now, and I find it very comforting. There is also a second trust, smaller, $50,000. It is an education fund in my niece's name. I set it up quietly through a third party so that she will have access to it when she's ready for university. She is 12 and she is good at math, and she has her whole life ahead of her, and none of what her parents did is her fault. She doesn't know it exists. She'll find out when it matters. We bought a new farm 6 months after the sale. 200 acres in Cedar County, about 40 minutes from where we used to live. It's smaller than what we had in terms of operation. We're not running a commercial farm anymore. We grow vegetables, some fruit trees, we have chickens. It is the most peaceful I have felt in my adult life. I joined a group. It's a support group for women who were treated by their families as financial resources. The phrase one woman used in the first meeting was family ATM, and every person in the room nodded at the same. Time. I go twice a month. I'm not the only one, and it turns out knowing that matters more than I expected. My mom has not reached out since I blocked her. I don't know what the status of things is between my parents. My dad has sent her letters, actual letters, handwritten, that I have read and kept and not responded to. I'm not ready. I'm working on figuring out what ready means. My niece texted me last week. She said she had been accepted into a STEM program at her school. Full scholarship. She said she had worked really hard and she wanted me to know because I had always told her she was capable of things she didn't believe yet. I read that message 4 times. The $50,000 is still in the trust. She doesn't need it for this. I'm leaving it there anyways. My husband was right. He said they would show us who they were. I had hoped he was wrong. I had hoped that love would turn out to be the stronger thing, and that underneath the patterns of a lifetime was something that would hold when tested. 24 hours was all it took. But I also know this. My niece just got a full scholarship. My dad walked 3 miles to say he was sorry. Loretta stood up in a restaurant full of people and said what needed to be said. My husband drove me home in the dark and didn't ask me to be okay before I was. There are people who show up. You find out who they are in exactly the moments you don't want to be finding out, not the asshole. And I'm glad I found out before the money made it impossible to tell too long. Didn't read, stood up at the party and told the room everything. The sale, the test, the group chat, the 6 months of silence. Loretta backed me up, left without signing. Sister lost $40,000 deposit. Her husband found the secret $25,000 withdrawal. My niece changed schools. Mom ostracized by community. Dad walked 3 miles to apologize. Irrevocable trust set up. Secret $50,000 education fund for my niece. New 200-acre farm in Cedar County. Chickens. Support group. My niece just got a full STEM scholarship. The $50,000 is still there just in case. We're good.
What's crazy about this story is how the biggest plot twist ends up not being the money at all. It's for the silence. The silence after she said the farm was gone. The silence in Death Referent when everyone realized he knew the truth. And honesty, the silence from her mom afterward says even more than all the AITAs combined. I also think this story perfectly shows how some families slowly turn one person into the reliable one, until having everybody become their entire role. And the scary part is sometimes you don't even notice it's happening until the moment you feel like saying no. Then suddenly I won't act like you changed overnight, when really you just stop accepting it. But really, this ending doesn't feel bitter to me. It feels freeing. The support farm, the smaller farm, the letters for her dad she's not ready to answer yet, all of it feels very real and very human. Nobody suddenly became perfect. Nobody got a movie-style reconciliation. It's just people dealing with the consequences of years of unhealthy patterns. And honestly, the detail that's got me most was the niece texting about her scholarship out of all the damage and drama. That's feel like the first thought that maybe this family cycle doesn't have to repeat itself forever. Let me know what you guys think about this one, because I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like, subscribe to Pop Culture This Story, because I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.